Good morning, everybody. Right in back of this black tarp is a double sink. You can see its top edge right there, and underneath that double sink is a chicken. It likes to do that there. The other day I mentioned my fence came down around my little flock, and so I didn't let them out for a day. But it brings up the topic of holding your boundaries and the importance of having boundaries. I feel like I've talked about this before, but seriously, it deserves to be spoken of again. And of course, you want to keep your chicken flock in a nice big. So this is pretty big. You can see the coop back there. It goes all the way back to that line over there. There's about 57 chickens, including a rooster that's back. They seem to be really enjoying themselves. They've yet to fully take it to the ground, so I'm letting them do the work. And I'm walking around looking for chicken footprints to see if I can figure out where that chicken's getting out. But on a similar topic, I've got 3 kids. They're basically amazing, although the youngest is only going to be 8 months pretty soon, something like that, I think. And my eldest was out, my 2 oldest were out playing with some friends. Oh, I think I found the hole. That's a definite hole right there. And playing with some other kids, and a parent was out there with their child, and the parent tried to put a boundary up. And kids are going to test your boundaries. They're supposed to. That's part of being a kid, is having someone else to help co-regulate and to realize that that's not an easy process. In fact, it's one of the more frustrating parts of being a parent, I find. At the same point, I'm just like, if I don't hold a boundary that I'm putting up, then the child will just think, and this goes for anybody really, that if you put up a boundary with someone and they try to test it, which will happen, and you relinquish it, then that person or child will feel like you don't really care about that boundary. It's not important to you, because if it was, you would hold it. Just like, the cells in my body, when some other intruder cell comes in, they have to hold their boundaries. Otherwise, you either get sick or you die. And, the sickness that I see with a lot of different parents out there is this notion of they're not holding their boundaries. And I've even seen some parents making excuses for the boundaries that their own children are crossing when some other adult calls them out on it, which I think is atrocious. Let's just be honest about it. And that sense of boundaries are healthy. Even this notion that we want to include everyone. I get it. And if you're a good facilitator out there, or a good teacher, or whatever your role is that you're doing a group experience, of course you want to include everyone that's in your group. But the notion that all those kids or people are going to want to go and get together outside of that moment, it's highly unlikely. And in fact, it's a sign of health later in life when you learn to not connect with everybody. The notion that there are people that you don't get along with, or that you find have a negative impact on your life. It's actually important to exclude those people from your life. And now, you can't get away from your kids, or at least I personally don't want to, at least not on a permanent basis. And so, getting that first level of respect with them around the boundaries that are being set is crucial. And that means sometimes I don't get to have fun, because my child actually needs the attention of focus that I bring to those boundaries to really learn the lesson of whatever it might be. And I just want to encourage everyone out there to have boundaries, to hold those boundaries, to appreciate and respect other people's boundaries, to recognize that in a world where it's totally fine to be whomever you are, to just acknowledge there's certain people you don't get along with, and that's okay. I like to relate things back to plants, and there's different guilds for plants. So if you know about cedar trees and walnut trees, they each create an environment that lots of other plants don't want to live with. And we don't think that the cedar tree or the walnut tree are bad trees for that. We accept it and we learn to plant with them in accordance to what else wants to grow with them, and not the things that get killed by living next to them. And so if you're out there and you're having trouble with your own boundaries, or your fence lines are coming down in some way, to recognize that like there's ways to have good fence lines. And in fact, I think of like wildlife corridors that go under or over highways so that animals can cross the boundary of the highway without getting killed. It's like, you know, it's okay to recognize that you maybe need a place to have a hole in your boundaries so that way you can have the good things in life move through it. And to recognize that like that's sometimes going to an event, and that again acknowledging like, yeah, there will hopefully be a diversity of people at that event. It's, in my opinion, fun to be around a diversity of people, and to recognize that like I'm not taking everybody home from that space. So I hope that you all are holding your boundaries well, and that you're giving good boundaries to your children if you have them, that you're maintaining good boundaries in your friendships and relations, because it makes for better relations. It allows people to understand you better and to relate with you better, and to not feel overwhelmed by life or like you've been taken advantage of. So how do you hold your boundaries? How do you make sure that other people respect your boundaries? I'd love to hear it in the comments below. Thanks for subscribing to this channel. I really appreciate all of that. Really appreciate you taking the time to watch today. Hope you have a fabulous day out there, and remember, have too much fun.